The exercise is a way of educating will-be pilgrims to physically go through the simulation process for the benefit of the majority who are first-time travelers. The simulation started at the buffer zone in Talinding, where intending pilgrims observe some of the activities that pilgrims undergo in Medina and its environs. The places like the Prophet's Mosque, some of the graves of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and the battle zones. Significant among them Uhud, where one of the greatest jihad was fought during the pre-Islamic era. The party then proceeded to the Independence Stadium in Bakau, chanting du'as and verses of the Quran, reminiscent of the way the Hajj is performed. At the Independence Stadium in Bakau, the prospective pilgrims were divided into teams, tasked to conduct the circumambulation of the Kaaba called Tawaf, which is done 7 times. The Kaaba is Islam's holiest structure on earth, and it was built by Prophet Abraham in Mecca. This exercise that you are seeing here is one of the most important steps taken by the officials of the GIA together with the Hajj Commission. Officials believe that this is going to help the will-be pilgrims who will be flying to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the near future to be able to do their Hajj successfully. Teams conducted the Safa al-Marwa, running from one side of the stadium to another, with Hajj guides training them how to do it. After conducting all the requirements at the Independence Stadium, the will-be pilgrims were taken to the Combo Beach, where they conducted the Jamra. The significance of this exercise, according to some prospective pilgrims, will not only stop at educating them on what to do in Saudi Arabia, but would help them get the chance to interact and know one another. Lamin Diouf and Aissatou Sarr all thank the officials of the GIA and the Commission of Hajj for the understanding and support rendered to them, and expect that to continue up to Saudi Arabia. As Hajj gets closer, 90% of the people going for this year's Hajj are first-time travelers in their lives. GIA and the Hajj Commission believe that the first flight of pilgrims who will be leaving the soils of this country to go to Saudi Arabia will probably leave on the 21st of September 2013. Famara Kanye, reporting for GRTS News, Bakau Independence Stadium.
The fight against iodine deficiency disorders has taken another giant leap as the authorities move to enforce a regulation that empowers security agents at border entry points to seize and confiscate any salt entering the country that is not iodized. This follows a massive sensitization campaign undertaken by the National Nutrition Agency to capacitize security agencies on the regulation. Modu Jallo picks up the rest of the story.
Nutrition Agency recently embarked on a massive sensitization campaign targeting security agencies on the control of the inflow of non-iodized salt into the Gambia.
We must have to put in place mechanisms that will help us in enforcing that regulation. So we say, well, the best way to do that is not only through the Minister of Health, through the public health officers, but also we have custom officers in the borders, we have police in the borders, we have immigration on the border posts, we have the national intelligence on the border posts. We have to empower them for them to be able to help in the control of inflow of non-iodized salt in the country. So we have trained quite a number of enforcement officers in the country, across the country, to ensure that wherever they are, when salt is coming into the country, they can use the regulation as the base of their action and control that inflow of that non-iodized salt coming into the country.
This is aimed at ensuring that the country achieve the universal salt iodization target. But according to Malam Fofana, the Deputy Executive Director of NANA, controlling the inflow of salt will also help optimize local salt production, which currently is very low, by working with relevant stakeholders.
So what we are trying to advocate for is to work with the salt producers and the traders to form into an association. And that association can develop proposals that will be shared with the private sector, with the donor partners, to help them in improving the local production of salt, at the same time improve the quality of the salt that they are producing. Yes, over the years we have worked with numerous communities. We try to supply them with the machines to iodize the little salt that they are producing. But that's not adequate. What is important now is to work with them to develop proposals that can help in getting in funding to increase the capacity of the production.
Currently 90% of all salt consumed in the Gambia is imported, and most of it passes through the country's borders. Therefore, security agencies at border posts have a crucial role to play in this crusade. Joseph Edinjai, a customs manager at the Gambia Revenue Authority, believes such collaboration with NANA is timely.
It's very important, because if you say 90% of what is coming in is passing through the borders, and the borders are mined by security forces. That means if the security forces are not that stringent, that alert, then will not reach the household consumption of even 50%, and that is a detriment to the nation.
Now the security agencies are empowered by law to seize and confiscate any non-iodized salt.
When they seize it, they'll invite Nana. Nana will come look at the salt again, do titration tests from the health laboratory, and if they still see that the iodine deficiency is in the salt, then they will iodize it. After iodizing it, we can sell it back by auction, and the proceeds will go to government. But the owner will be confiscated from him. He will no longer have the salt, and he'll also be charged a penalty.
This approach is more stringent and wider in scope as it incorporates the security agencies. Until now, much emphasis has been on using public health officials to enforce the regulation. This, Malang Fofana argues, could achieve even greater results.
For us to be able to ensure that before salt get into the market, it's iodized. And that's where the role of other agencies are coming in. And regulation ensures that salt imported into the country, salt distributed in the country, salt exported for sale in the country is iodized.
The president of the Salt Producers and Traders Association, Alaji Filije Nyasi, welcomed efforts by the agency to rigorously enforce the food safety and fortification regulation. Filije believes this will reduce iodine deficiency disorders which affect mostly women and children. He also pledged his association's support in the crusade, saying they have also laid down mechanisms that would sanction any of their members who fail to iodize their salt. According to the multiple indicator cluster survey, only 22% of Gambian households consume iodized salt, a negligible figure given Nana's unrelenting campaign to raise awareness amongst Gambians. This latest effort, it is hoped, will now compel more and more people to consume iodized salt. Mamadou Jallow, GRTS.
The Department of Forestry, in partnership with its stakeholders, has on Wednesday planted 1,000 seedlings in Bijolo Forest Ecotourism Park, courtesy of the British High Commission to the Gambia. These seedlings comprise of African mahogany, silk cotton, and bush mango. As Buba Sise reports, the gesture served as a complement to the efforts of the government to promote ecotourism as well as control the extinction of the country's wildlife for posterity.
In the form of fruit trees will not only serve as a source of food and habitation for wildlife, but it will as well generate income for the people as attraction for tourists and trekkers. Accordingly, this huge gesture by the British High Commission to the Gambia is described by the Department of Forestry and the Bijolo Forest Ecotourism Park as significant and timely.
The idea is to improve the number of fruit trees we have in the park, because we have problem on feeding the monkeys. Because of the limited number of fruit trees we have in the park, this is causing monkeys invading into local crops, they pest and destroy these crops. So we want to plant more fruit trees so that this will sustain monkeys here. It will also provide shelter, protection, and security.
The president of Gambia Tourist Guards, Mustafa Job, said they deem it fitting to partake in this tree planting exercise, stating that it is a collective responsibility as stakeholders in the industry to contribute their quota either in cash or in kind to promote ecotourism in the country.
Every year we come out in our numbers to clean the park, because this is one of the attractions we have as a tourist industry. So last week they wrote to us, they said that they have funding sponsorship from the British Embassy, that they give them about 1,000 plants which they want to plant into the forest. So that is why we mobilize our group. We come over to participate in that tree planting, because as a forest it attracts tourists to come over to see the insect, to see the birds and the beautiful nature. So to contribute to sustain that forest is that we are willing to do that.
It's a collective responsibility.
It's a collective responsibility as stakeholders in the industry to mobilize either our resources or our physical help to the forest to come over to clean the area and to plant these trees. I think that way the forest will continue to grow and it is something that will be sustainable.
San Silva is the Product Development Officer, Gambia Tourism Board.
The Gambia Tourism Board